internal battle, your lazy mind versus your conscious mind. This is one of the most important sections in the entire program to understand if you can really have the self-awareness and develop the introspective kind of self-reflective abilities to recognize when this is happening. And when you do this, because all people do this, you're instantly going to become 100 times more powerful, right? And how do you define your lazy mind? An exercise that I like to do is to imagine how your friends would talk about you in a casual setting without you, right? What would they say about you? Maybe they, that you could be successful, but you don't apply yourself, that you drink too often, that you lack focus, or, if your friends don't know about your bad habits, then you do, right? This is how you would define your current character and what you stand for and how the outside world perceives you, right? And let me illustrate this with an example. Let's say, it's first thing in the morning, right when you wake up at 8 a.m., right? And immediately, like the first moment that you realize that you're awake rather than being asleep, right? The first thought that pops into your head is, oh, Kevin, you can go back to sleep. You can cancel your meetings, or you can just reschedule them, right? Do them tomorrow. It doesn't really matter, right? Or Kevin, you already have enough money, right? You could just not do anything and watch movies all day. You could literally retire today. Just go back to sleep, right? Those are the first things that pop into your mind, but that's not actually you, right? That isn't your conscious mind. Your conscious mind wants to achieve your dreams and create something special and change the world and make impact and help other people, right? That's not your conscious mind. That's your lazy mind talking, right? And you have to learn to recognize it and say to yourself, wait, no. I'm not gonna let, my lazy mind get away with that. Like, that's not happening today, right? And sometimes I'll literally take it so far, like, my girlfriend gets mad at me. I'll literally audibly out loud at 6 a.m. say, not today, lazy mind, right? And I know that sounds ridiculous, and it is to an extent, but you have to gamify your habits, right? When there's a game and you're in competition with yourself, you're so much more likely to win consistently, right? And then, after I say that, I'll physically force myself using my conscious mind, right? We all have free will. I'll force myself to get out of bed and go to the gym or go to the shower or go down to my computer, make breakfast, start my day, right? And I think about it like a competition. I'm not going to let my lazy mind win. I think about it as a different being, right? A different person, a different entity. And I think that I'm going to beat it, right? I'm going to beat it every day. And when you do it and when you beat your lazy mind enough days in a row, your life starts to seriously change for the better, right? And this is extremely, extremely powerful because you no longer fall victim to the lazy and to the doubtful voices in your head that are telling you to give up, right? Or not talk to that beautiful girl at the bar, or not push as hard as you can, right? Things start to quickly change. Because at the end of the day, right, self-doubt is the ultimate killer of success and evolution and growth, right? But you have to understand that self-doubt is nothing but, a devil in your ear sitting on your shoulder that wants us to fail, right? And he wants us to be average forever. And when you take a step back and you see the self-doubt devil, right? Just like the little task devil, we're working with two, right? When you see the self-doubt devil trying to sabotage you and trying to drag you down, and you recognize self-doubt is just an illusion, right? Trying to drag you down, that is when you can grow. And you can say, not this time. I recognize you. I recognize self-doubt. I recognize it. And I'm going to just trust the data and put the work in and follow the blueprint every day until my beliefs become my reality, right? All of us have self-doubt. It's human nature, right? As you get more experiential success and small wins and quick wins under your belt, it gets easier and easier and easier to ignore self-doubt and recognize it for what it truly is. Right? We talked about this before. Self-doubt evolved in history, right? To protect us from real-world physical dangers like saber-toothed tigers, right? And we gained instincts to protect us and to doubt our decisions, thus increasing the likelihood of continuing the species, right? But now that we live in modern-day society, when there's not predators trying to eat us when we leave our house, we don't need self-doubt anymore. So we have to kill it, and we have to kill it fast and authoritatively. The problem is, right, it's really hard to defeat self-doubt at first, right? People give up because they doubt themselves, right? People give up because they doubt their niche. People give up because they doubt their abilities. People give up because they doubt everything. But you have to trust the data. There's no logical reason why you wouldn't, right? So many other people have been successful with it. You've seen so much proof of my own personal success. I'm nothing special. 18 months ago, I was sitting in a cubicle. I was literally an accountant, right? Trust the data. Trust the process. It's the best way to defeat self-doubt is taking daily action, right? Progress is happiness. And once you start building momentum, the rest is history, right? Once you start getting that feedback and people are thanking you for your advice and they're looking to you for help and you become that leader and you become that attractive character, right? The rest is history. Ascending and evolving as a person is when you pull the strings in your own daily life, right? And your self-doubt and your lazy mind become the consistent, obedient losers to your conscious mind, right? When your conscious mind wins out over your lazy mind every day, consistently. That is how you gamify the creation of new productive habits, right? And I've gotten really good at fighting my lazy mind, right? Instead of being like a slave to my bad habits, you become a master of them, right? How do you become a master of your bad habits? By becoming a master of your lazy mind. And everyone has both a lazy mind and a conscious mind, right? But it's really hard to defeat your lazy mind consistently. And the only way I've been able to do it personally is by gamifying it, right? I'm a very naturally competitive person. If you're in the DCS program right now, you are probably a very naturally competitive person too. You're an A-type personality. You want to win and you want to create something special, right? And when I wake up in the morning and my lazy mind complains and moans and wants to fight and go back to sleep, my conscious mind knows I should get up and go to the gym and start my day early, right? So I can go on to be successful. When I get to the gym, my lazy mind complains and moans that it just doesn't feel like working out, right? When my lazy mind puts up its fists, my conscious mind grabs a freaking bazooka and blows my lazy mind out of the water with a bomb. Right? Your mind, like anything else, is a muscle. And the more you exercise and feed that muscle memory of your conscious mind succeeding and winning out over your lazy mind, the easier it becomes. And these are split-second decisions. That's what you need to understand. When you wake up, there's literally that 3-second window where you decide whether or not you should get up early and go to the gym or you should go back to sleep and put your head back down on the pillow, right? These aren't some big, blown out scenarios or things that, you're having like a real mental debate. They're split-second decisions. That's why it's so critical to understand the importance of how these incremental split-second decisions over time exponentiate your success. Because remember, time exponentiates all of your daily consistent actions. And here's a story to illustrate this really completely, right? I was so scared to start my business initially that I would wake up and I would think about getting out of bed and then I'd lie to myself, right? I'd lie to myself about the benefits of staying asleep. I'd say things like, oh, if I sleep in, I'll be more focused and more alert and ready to really concentrate on work, if I wake up at noon, right? I would literally lie to myself, right? And then I would deny the responsibility to actually improve my life. I'd say stuff like, oh, it doesn't even matter if I did get up, right? What change would one day at the gym make, right? And I'd go back to sleep. And then what would happen is I would regret staying asleep. Later on in the day, I'd regret it. I'd say to myself, and then to make myself feel better, I'd promise myself that was going to be the last time, right? I promised myself that would never happen again. And I did this with my business as well. I'd start the workday and I knew that I needed to make sales, right? I knew that I needed to bring people in and get more attention currency, get more people into my ecosystem. I knew I needed to bring value and money into my business that I could reinvest into more automation and scale. And I would literally lie to myself and I would say, it's okay to not sell today, right? It's okay to not go add 40 people and message all of them, get them into my group, right? It's okay to just read some blogs and watch some YouTube videos, right? I'll do all that stuff later. And I would deny all responsibility for my financial and my business and my life situation. And then I'd regret my decision, and then I'd promise myself, tomorrow's the day, right? And then I'd repeat it all over again. And does that sound familiar, right? Hopefully it's not familiar for you, but that is a familiar set of habits and kind of situation to deal with for so many people, right? Myself included in the past. And when you can separate and have the introspective and self-reflective ability that you need to see and recognize the difference between your lazy mind and your conscious mind, right? All of a sudden, everything changes. And I learned to observe my lazy mind for what it was, right? And I learned to recognize when it appeared, right? When I heard those little voices in my head that I could go back to sleep, right? That I could retire today, that I had more than enough money, that I'd be more alert if I slept longer, right? And that's just one example. People do this every day, right? Like, I won't record my YouTube videos. I'll just do that next week, right? Or, I just don't feel like reaching out to 40 people and adding them, and I'm messaging them on Facebook, right? 40 targeted people. My lazy mind and the habits associated with it became so strong, right, that it had me totally under its control. It was constantly dragging me down, distracting me from what I knew I should be doing. I was focusing on my clients, right? I was focusing on my Amazon business. I was focusing on all these other things other than creating my digital course empire, right? And what I knew I needed to do to reach my dreams, I wasn't doing, and I couldn't figure out what it was, right? I just learned to fight my lazy mind, right? That was the biggest difference. I learned to overpower it. I learned to win the battle against myself and my bad habits that had become so ingrained in my daily life. I learned the patterns, and I took control, and I evolved into the next better version of myself, right? Because becoming is better than being. And an exercise I like to do is to define my dreams, like really define them, right? What do you want from life? Do you want to live on the beach? What makes you happy? Do you need $1 million a year? Do you need $100,000 a year, right? Do you want a Lamborghini or do you want a Tesla, right? Define it. Make it very real. Make it as real as you can, right? And I'm not a firm believer in setting daily goals and every 3 days goals and weekly goals and monthly goals. It just takes too much time, right? Create your dream. Make it very real. Right? Where do you live? Do you live in Miami? Do you live in Costa Rica? What do you have? Like, do you have a 3-bedroom house? Right? Do you have a 5-bedroom house? How much profit are you making each month to be happy? Right? And then tell as many people as you can. Tell your wife, tell your husband, tell your kids, tell your parents, tell your coworkers, tell other people in the DCS group. Make a post right now with what your dream is, right? Don't be the 99% of people that never does anything, right? Be the 1% who makes the post right now. What's your dream? Define it, right? And these people become what I like to call accountability partners. The more people who know about your dream and what you have said you'll do, it holds you accountable, right? It holds you accountable because nobody wants to look bad in front of their friends and family and coworkers, right? Nobody wants to look like somebody who doesn't follow through. And so having the more accountability partners you can give yourself, the more likely it's going to be that you're going to be successful because you're going to do what it takes to not look bad in front of people that you respect, right? It's a trick that I like to use all the time. Because being successful is so hard, right? It's so much easier to just give up than it is to be successful. It's so much easier. And I always say that, you need true love or you need true hate to make it as an entrepreneur. And what I mean by that is true love for your family or your kids, or true hate for your boss, your current boss, or your current life, right? Paycheck to paycheck, eating microwavable pizza, right? True love or true hate to make it through all of the roadblocks, all of the bumps, all of the blood and the sweat and the tears required to build something meaningful and to build something life-changing, right? You really have to have the pressure from external sources that you respect, people you care about, accountability partners, right? You have to have the pressure to succeed from external parties. This includes your family, right? And your wife and your husband and your friends or whatever it is, right? The more people you tell about your dreams, the better. And you want to define your dream. Make it as vivid as possible. Where do you live, literally, right? What city? What part of the city? What does your house look like? What do you want to do during the day? How often do you want to work? What are your hobbies? Is it surfing, right? Literally lay it out. So few people even know what their dreams are. They just have this like loose, vague idea of it, right? I knew my dream was a convertible white Lamborghini and a house on the beach in San Diego and a house on the beach in Miami. I love being near the ocean. I need weather that's beautiful and sunny all year round, right? And I wanted to live in the USA because I think it's the greatest country in the world, right? Tell your family, tell your friends, tell everyone you can think of that you respect. The more people you tell, the more people you get involved, the more pressure you put on yourself to perform, and you need that pressure to make it through all of the road bumps, right? Human beings will do more to not look bad in front of other people than they will to improve themselves. Remember that, it's so important. Human beings will do more, right? And this is scientifically backed, right? This is studied, it's proven psychologically. Human beings will do more to not look bad in front of other people than they will to improve themselves, right? It's a proven scientific fact. When you tell your wife, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm 100% serious about it, then it makes it way more real, and you're way more likely to do it. And the more accountability partners you have, the better. Because Walt Disney said, it's kind of fun to do the impossible. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you on the next one.